Hello, I am Jessica. What if I told you that most women don't leave a relationship suddenly? They don't wake up one day and decide it's over. And by the time she physically walks away, she's already been gone for a long time. Not because she stopped caring overnight, but because something inside her slowly, quietly shut down. And here's the part most men never realize. She actually told you. Not directly, not in a dramatic way, but in small, simple lines repeated over time. Lines that sound normal on the surface but carry a deeper meaning underneath. And once you understand what those lines really mean, you'll never hear them the same way again. Because these are not just words, they are signals, warnings, and sometimes the final echo of a connection that's already fading. Right now, there are thousands of men thinking everything is fine, while the woman beside them is slowly disconnecting emotionally. Not loudly, not angrily, but quietly. And quiet detachment is the most dangerous kind because it doesn't demand your attention or create urgency. It just slowly removes her presence from your life while she's still physically there. The truth is, this doesn't happen in one moment. It happens the way seasons change, so gradually that you don't notice until one day everything feels different. Conversations become shorter, her energy feels distant, and the warmth you once felt starts fading. And when a woman reaches that point, she doesn't fight anymore. She stops explaining, asking, and trying because in her mind she already tried many times in many ways. And when those efforts go unseen, unheard, or unappreciated, something inside her begins to close, not out of anger, but out of emotional exhaustion. The first line she says is, "I'm just tired." On the surface, it sounds harmless. Everyone gets tired. But this isn't physical tiredness. This is emotional fatigue, the kind that comes from repeating yourself and feeling like nothing changes. It's the tired that builds when she keeps trying to connect, but feels like she's doing it alone. And instead of arguing or complaining, she reduces it to one simple sentence. What she really means is, "I don't have the energy to fight for this anymore." The second line is, "It's fine." This is one of the most misunderstood phrases in relationships because when a woman says it's fine, it's often the exact opposite. It means she noticed something, it affected her, but she no longer believes explaining it will make a difference. So instead of opening up, she closes off because explaining requires hope. And when hope starts fading, so does communication. The third line is, "Do whatever you want." This feels like freedom, but it's not. It's emotional withdrawal. Earlier, she cared about your decisions and wanted to feel like a team. But now she's stepping back, not because she trusts you more, but because she feels less connected to the outcome. And when a woman reaches that point, it's not peace, it's distance. At this stage, many men begin to sense something is off but often dismiss it. They assume it will pass. But emotional disconnection doesn't fix itself. It deepens quietly. There was a man named Arman. For years, his relationship felt stable. No major fights, no drama, just routine. His partner, Sarah, used to share everything with him, but over time, he started paying less attention. Not intentionally, just gradually. He would nod, scroll his phone, and half listen. Whenever she tried to express something serious, he would dismiss it. Slowly, she stopped sharing. One day she said, "I'm just tired." He ignored it. Later, "It's fine." He believed it. Then one evening she said, "Do whatever you want." That was the moment something had already ended, but he didn't realize it. A month later, she left quietly, and he kept asking himself when it happened. The truth is, it happened in all the moments he didn't notice. The fourth line she says is, "I don't want to argue." This may sound mature, but here it signals disengagement. Earlier, she was willing to argue because she cared. Arguments often mean someone still wants to fix something. But when she stops arguing completely, it often means she no longer sees a reason to fight for it. She is stepping away emotionally, silently. The fifth line is, "It doesn't matter." When a woman says this, it's not about one situation, it's about everything. Because when things truly matter, people react and express themselves. But when she says this, it means nothing feels worth the emotional effort anymore. And that is one of the clearest signs she is already detaching inside. Most people misunderstand this. They think she's being cold or losing feelings for no reason. But emotional withdrawal is rarely sudden. It is usually the result of repeated experiences where she felt unheard, unseen, or emotionally alone. Instead of exploding, she slowly fades, because fading hurts less than fighting endlessly. Women don't leave because they stop loving. They leave because they stop feeling emotionally safe expressing that love. They stop believing it will be understood or valued. And once that belief is gone, everything else follows. By the time these lines appear consistently, she is no longer asking for change. She is measuring distance. She is observing how far she has already gone inside. So if you ever hear these lines, don't just listen to the words. Listen to the silence behind them, because that is where the real meaning lives. In the end, this is not about blaming anyone. It is about awareness. Relationships rarely break in loud moments. They break in quiet ones, in missed conversations, ignored feelings, and small dismissals that seem harmless at the time. Real connection doesn't disappear suddenly, it fades when it is not protected, nurtured, or truly seen. So the real question is not why she left, but when she started feeling alone while still being with you. Because that is where the story actually begins. And if you understand this, you don't just save relationships, you understand people, and that changes everything. There was a man named Arman. For years, his relationship felt stable. No major fights, no drama, just routine. His partner, Sarah, used to talk a lot, sharing her thoughts and feelings. But over time, Armin stopped paying attention. Not intentionally, just slowly. He would nod, scroll his phone, and half listen. Whenever she expressed something serious, he would dismiss it. And little by little, she stopped sharing. One day she said, "I'm just tired." He ignored it. Later, "It's fine." He believed it. Then one evening she said, "Do whatever you want." That was the moment something had already ended, but he didn't realize it. A month later, she left quietly. No drama, no shouting, just silence. And Armin kept asking himself when it happened. But the truth is, it didn't happen in one moment. It happened in all the moments he didn't notice. The fourth line she says is, "I don't want to argue." This sounds mature, but here it signals emotional withdrawal. Earlier, she argued because she cared. Arguments often mean someone still wants to fix something. But when she stops arguing completely, it often means she no longer sees a reason to fight for it. She is stepping away silently. The fifth line is, "It doesn't matter." When a woman says this, it is not about one situation. It is about everything. Because when things truly matter, people respond emotionally, but when she says it doesn't matter, it means nothing feels worth the emotional effort anymore. And this is one of the clearest signs that she is already detaching inside. Most people misunderstand this. They think she's being cold or losing feelings for no reason. But emotional withdrawal is rarely sudden. It is the result of repeated moments where she felt unheard, unseen, or emotionally alone. Instead of exploding, she fades slowly, because fading hurts less than fighting endlessly. Women don't leave because they stop loving. They leave because they stop feeling emotionally safe expressing that love. They stop believing it will be understood or valued. And once that belief is gone, everything else follows. By the time these lines appear consistently, she is no longer asking for change. She is measuring distance. She is already observing how far she has gone emotionally. So if you ever hear these lines, don't just listen to the words, listen to the silence behind them, because that is where the real meaning lives. In the end, relationships don't break in loud moments. They break in quiet ones, in missed conversations, ignored feelings, and small dismissals that seem harmless at the time. Real connection doesn't disappear suddenly. It fades when it is not protected, nurtured, or truly seen. So the real question is not why she left. The real question is, when did she start feeling alone while still being with you? And this is where the truth becomes even more uncomfortable to accept. Because most men think relationships fall apart because of one big moment, one fight, one mistake, one betrayal. But in reality, it is almost never that simple. The real damage happens slowly, in small emotional withdrawals that seem harmless at the time. A missed conversation here, a dismissed feeling there, a moment where she needed understanding but received indifference instead. At first, she adjusts. She tries again. She explains differently. She gives more chances than she should. But over time, something inside her starts to change. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly. She starts lowering her expectations. Not because she wants less, but because she has stopped believing she will get more. And once a woman starts expecting less from emotional connection, she also starts investing less. That is the point where emotional distance begins to feel normal. And this is where many men make a critical mistake. They assume silence means peace. They assume less conflict means things are improving. But in many cases, silence is not peace. It is detachment. Because a woman who is emotionally present will react, will express, will try to fix things, even if it leads to conflict. But a woman who has emotionally checked out will no longer argue, no longer explain, and no longer push. She simply becomes quiet. And that quietness is not emptiness, it is conclusion. There is another subtle shift that happens during this stage. Her energy changes in ways that are hard to explain but easy to feel. She is still there physically, still performing daily roles, still participating in life, but emotionally, she is no longer fully invested. Conversations become shorter, responses become minimal. Even her presence starts to feel different, not because she hates, but because she no longer attaches meaning the way she used to. And this is where emotional separation reaches its final stage before leaving. Because once a woman reaches the point where she no longer feels emotionally connected, she also stops feeling the need to repair anything, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. At this stage, even affection can feel heavy. Even explanations can feel pointless. Even apologies can feel too late. Because she is no longer living inside the relationship emotionally, she is already outside it mentally. And this is why when she finally leaves, it often feels sudden to the other person. But in reality, it was a slow exit that started long before the physical departure. The hardest part is this: the signs were never hidden, they were just misunderstood. I'm just tired. It's fine. Do whatever you want. I don't want to argue. It doesn't matter. These were never random phrases. They were stages, stages of emotional departure. And by the time the last stage is reached, she is no longer asking for change. She is no longer hoping for improvement. She is simply choosing peace over emotional exhaustion. Because at some point, every person reaches a limit where understanding becomes more important than attachment. And once that limit is crossed, holding on no longer feels like love. It feels like loss of self. So she lets go, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, completely. And the person left behind is often stuck wondering what went wrong, not realizing the real answer was never one moment. It was all the moments that were ignored. In the end, most relationships don't end because of a single moment of pain. They end because of a long silence that was never understood. A silence made of small ignored feelings, unspoken emotions, and moments that were too easily dismissed. No one walks away suddenly from something they truly feel connected to. They walk away slowly, long before they actually leave. And the truth is, people rarely stop loving overnight. They stop feeling seen, heard, and emotionally safe. And when that feeling disappears, love doesn't die loudly. It fades quietly, step by step, until only distance remains. So if there is one lesson hidden in all of this, it is simple but powerful. Pay attention not only to what people say, but also to what they stop saying. Because sometimes the loudest goodbye is the one that is never spoken. And by the time silence becomes permanent, it is already too late to ask when things went wrong. Because they didn't end in a moment. They ended in understanding that never came.